They say podcasts are going to replace books. I don't know about that, but I do think TRS clips will assist your learning process. We have to talk a little bit about Pakistan. We have a lot of Pakistani listeners. It's such a complex topic. What's happening in that country, especially with the Taliban taking over Afghanistan? I believe this economic colonization is happening in pockets in Pakistan as well through China. What's the 360-degree viewpoint?
See, Pakistan's economy is not doing well. Typically, if you see Pakistan is usually a weekend away from collapse, the economy. But it's always bailed out by the IMF or by China or by the US. Somebody keeps bailing Pakistan out.
From a scientific perspective, what do you mean? You see numbers hitting a certain threshold?
Pakistan has a lot of debt. It has to repay the debt. And Pakistan's GDP output, etc., is not very significant, right? And
let's make this simpler. When you say debt, they've taken loans from a lot of different entities, and they don't have many exports.
They have very little exports. They export almost nothing. They don't produce much of value. That's what I mean, that the annual GDP isn't significant at all. It's not even $1 billion as far as I recall. They have massive debts that they've taken from China, from the World Bank, from the IMF, if I'm not mistaken, maybe some other places as well, right? And the entire nation is run by an entity called the Pakistan Army. It's not a democratic nation. Typically, every nation has an army. In this case, you have an army that owns a nation, right? And the army has controlling interest in various businesses across the country. Whatever is produced of value in the country typically serves to enrich the generals and not the nation, not the people of Pakistan. There are so many schisms in Pakistani society, whether it is religious schisms, whether it is the brutal oppression of minorities, whether it is the regional problems. A place like Balochistan, which is so rich in resources, natural resources, but none of those natural resources are the value of that is none of it is reinvested in the province. The people are dirt poor. They're oppressed. They have been forcibly annexed into Pakistan. They had declared independence. Mr. Jinnah annexed Balochistan. You have issues in the northwest frontier province in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. That is essentially historically Pashtunistan. It should be reunited with Afghanistan. I mean, because of the ethnic makeup of the region. You have Sindh, which has been for the longest time crying out for independence. GA Sindh movement. They have issues all across the place. So there are so many problems in Pakistan. Recently, we had these catastrophic floods from which the country is still reeling, which has devastated the country. I think more than half the country was under water for some time, and lots of people have lost their livelihoods, their houses, their lives in some cases. A lot of infrastructure has been washed away, bridges, roads, all that. Who's going to rebuild that? Where does the money come from? And then there's, like you said, the Chinese angle. They own parts of Pakistan now. They've essentially colonized parts of Pakistan. Balochistan, they have a very strong presence there because of the port, the Gwadar port there. They have been building various infrastructure to aid their geopolitical ambitions through Pakistan occupied Kashmir as well, and so on. So there are all these problems in Pakistan. How do I see Pakistan? I see Pakistan as an artificially created nation which is temporary in nature. The British created Pakistan to further their geopolitical interest, to ensure that India is always counterbalanced by this hostile nation which has been created on religious grounds, right? Then when the British Empire declined after 1956, the Americans took over. And they started financing Pakistan for the same reasons, for the same great game that they were playing in the region. They had a new impetus to aid Pakistan after the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. So that's when the entire terrorism business started, right? The Mujahideen that the Americans were aiding were essentially terrorists. Osama bin Laden, he was termed as a freedom fighter by Washington Post, New York Times, one of the major American newspapers and outlets, right? And the Americans essentially financed Pakistani terrorism in Afghanistan and India for a few decades, until the first decade of the 21st century as well. Then after they withdrew from Afghanistan, they no longer had much use for Pakistan. That's when the Chinese angle came in, and the Chinese started supporting the Pakistan army. So Pakistan, how do I see it? I see it as a temporary nation that has been created artificially. It is a hotbed of terrorism. It represents nothing good. I have nothing against the people of Pakistan. I wish them well. I wish them peace and happiness and prosperity, them and their children and future generations. But Pakistan needs to be dismantled. Pakistan needs to be dismantled. Pashtunistan should go back into Afghanistan with the Afghan homeland. Balochistan should be made independent. Sindh should be made independent. Pakistani Punjab can be independent, and the POJK, Gilgit-Baltistan needs to return to India. And then we will have peace once we have dealt with the Pakistani army and neutralized that evil proxy force of other nations. And of course, we'll have to deal with the nuclear angle as well, because somebody has to neutralize those nukes that the Pakistanis have. So I have no enmity with the people of Pakistan. They are our people. They are the same blood as us. They have the same history, the same ancestry as us. They are our brothers and sisters. I wish them well. But Pakistan as a nation needs to be, it needs to be dealt with properly.
Yeah, and again, when we're doing these Pakistan-centric episodes, our intention is to never offend Pakistanis. We're always trying to give 360-degree perspectives on TRS. Thanks for watching. Make sure you check out the entire episode and also check out this playlist that we've curated just for you.